this is Chipacon, and we are welcome to you to Changing Times, Changing World show, Otherworldly. And tonight, my guest is Jamie Angel, also the name on the things as Yve Brown, but Jamie Angel is a spiritual coach, interfaith minister, artist, advocate, and an author. And I'm going to cut some of this down. The work is centered around strengthening and affirming communication with accessibility and inclusion practices that facilitate best practices in business, education, the arts, and spirituality. Sounds really, really cool. Spiritual art includes transformative art, which includes the sigil art we're talking about tonight, influenced by the works of Austin Osman Spare, meditative art, ceremonial ritual art, and has done sigil art and rune designs as an artist, created a sigil course, which they have just put up, and we'll put it again, a link to. And they are working on a book called Art is Magical, which discusses art as a magical tool. And they also offer workshops in the use of sigil art and rune art, as well as training in fabriomancy, which is a divination method they developed, which I'm attracted to that because I do like all the different mantic arts. But so welcome to you. We call you Jamie Angel, or do we? Which
That's
would
the
you
name
prefer
that I
tonight?
write under and do my spiritual works under. So yeah.
Okay, let's get you pinned. There you go. And so I said in the not in the introduction, but in the announcement, there are lots of different ways to make sigils. And I think that you can contradict me if you think that it's true, but that I'm wrong. But that I think there's a lot of different ways to make sigils, and you have to find the one that works for you. And this one that I've seen, that the images we shared so far are remind me of the ones that I learned early on, and there are many other forms of sigil making. I know that last week Sarah Mastros got sigils from the Solomonic magic, and Gretchen Schurk got ceremonial magic things, and there's just lots and lots of sigil making systems. This one looks a lot more familiar to me, and so I'm kind of excited to have you sharing that tonight. Do you have images? Do you have the ability to share images or not?
I believe I do, yes.
Oh, cool. I'm excited. Okay, well, let me unpin myself so that we can. Oh, heavens. Well, your image, your face seems to have gone away. Well, maybe I won't unpin myself yet. Until I see you again, we shall listen to your voice.
Why did it do?
But yes, earlier, Jamie Angel had said that they are having a little trouble with the tech tonight. So that this is what's coming up.
Oh, there we go.
What they're dealing with right now.
There you are.
It says I'm unable to start video because the host has stopped it.
I have what?
Okay.
I told you that I am. There we go.
Well, I gave them a request to start video, and that seems to have worked. So.
Yes.
Well, okay, so
technology, it will get you in the end, and we know which end it chooses.
Yeah, that definitely is a true thing. Yes. Okay, so let us speak.
So,
and
one of the things with sigil art, I've done a variety of styles. Some of what I've done is your basic ones that there's a basic method that most people use, but then there are always variations upon it in that. This is a piece that I had done a few years back. Don't know if you can see it well or not. I believe that was one of the ones I sent.
Okay.
And what's exciting in that with such things is you can put them on all different angles and find what angle resonates with you when you're working.
I like
with it.
that one.
So it's like, for me, and most of my art tends to have faces and things like that show up. I also have found that I end up doing a lot of channeling in my art. So that's always interesting, a whole other interesting aspect to my art that I've come across. But this one here, I basically had written the letters that I put in, and then I carved them into the wood and then painted it. So one of the things that I actually enjoy is the process of, charging with painting and things like that. Because obviously there are a number of ways to charge them, but the attention given when you're doing, painting or coloring it in can be a very powerful method. One of the things that I have also found that's very exciting, my spouse kind of turned me on to this option, is when you want to do sigils, you don't always want to keep them in the front of your mind. And sometimes you don't even want to necessarily keep the sigil around. Sometimes we want to just do it and have the result, but we don't need to have the paper or what have you. And so a way to, save the resources that we have been blessed with is to use something like this here. One of the doodle board type of things. And so anybody have an idea of a intention you would like to put together?
Would it be too big to say surviving the upcoming election cycle?
Okay.
That would be a
yeah, that's a
challenge.
that's a very general one.
Yeah, specific is easy, better for these sigils.
The sigils, they're very real, they're very literal a lot of times. And that, so it's like, the election cycle.
Ooh, in the chat, here's one.
In
Someone asked about closing a mirror. That's an interesting. I've wondered about that in the past.
about closing a mirror with a sigil.
Well, I'm assuming you take the sigil and slap it up on the mirror to make this mirror less of a portal.
Yes.
Is that what you were talking about in the chat? Yes. Okay. You don't want things coming into your house that way.
Yeah. Yeah, you can do something like that to seal, to place a seal upon it. In those cases, you probably want to be sure to put a circle around your thing when you're doing it. And that, whereas with some sigils, you may not need a circle. Something like that, you definitely want a circle so that it's sealing it out. And not
anything gets into my home takes its chances.
Do you want another suggestion? I would like a sigil that would attract the cats to the litter box and not around the house in corners that they're not, I don't want them in. Go pee here.
Okay, so basically my cats pee in the litter box where they're supposed to pee.
Yes.
Okay.
Poop goes here.
So the typical process is, eliminating the vowels and any repeats of the consonants.
Okay, I think that because we never know who's here, you should go through the process. Don't assume everyone's read Austin Osman Sphere, and
Yeah.
describe it from the beginning.
Okay.
I have,
So first we've taken and written down my cats pee and poop in the litter box.
Yeah.
That is the intention. Then we go through, look at the intention, and there are several ways to do it. So, most commonly, you eliminate the vowels and repeats of the consonants. You can keep all letters in. I oftentimes prefer to do it that way. And I also sometimes use script where I actually just write my intention on into a piece and just kind of weaving the intention throughout the piece. And so then I have all the letters in there. I have now started trying some where I'm actually doing a script with just the consonant things as well. So there are a number of variations with that. But so once you've got your, once you've got your thing, okay, so and Y counts as a vowel, eliminate the A, eliminate the E's. I should have written the word and out because that's one of my big mistakes there. So we eliminate the A, keep the ND. We already have a P, so we eliminate the P. Actually, we eliminate all those because those were, the whole word poop, it was either vowels or letters we already had. The I is eliminated. We already had a T, did not yet have an H. Then we eliminate the E. That is the first L. Eliminate the I. Eliminate those T's. Eliminate the E. Keep the R. And
how does phrasing affect the intention here? Because you said poop was eliminated because we already had the P and the vowels out. So
And see, that's one of the reasons why I tend to prefer to not necessarily do all the eliminations. Because I sometimes feel like with eliminating things, how it might mess with the intentions. But the reason why they do it that way is because you have your whole intention in your intention statement, but you're pretty much condensing it.
This is true. Okay.
Its simplest form, and it's kind of a thing that you don't want it to be something where you're looking at going, oh, there's this, and this. It's supposed to be more on a subconscious, working in the background type of thing.
Right.
So now that we've got all those
Mhm.
scratched through, we know which letters we need to put in. So start with the M, and you can either put them overlapping or you can connect them. I kind of tend to do a combination of those. And C, T over here. Like this spot looks good for an S.
This is something like making a bind rune out of the English characters.
Yes.
Which is more effective? The active statement of make the cats or the cat's will?
Well, I think it said the cats pee and poop in the litter box. This is just a statement. This is what the intent is.
The image of
Okay.
the reality you want to create.
It's usually best in the current state because a lot of times it's like future tense is kind of limited as to when it's going to happen. So,
Okay.
whereas bringing it into present.
Gotcha.
So you state the intention as an accomplished reality. This, it is so.
It shall be.
Now, it's been hard to see what you're doing on the doodle pad there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
really. It's almost impossible to read.
Yeah.
It's not,
You
it's not-
seem to
the
be
camera
creating
isn't
an
picking it
image
up
of
well.
the letters connected to each other.
And I was asked, did Chipicon already do the condensation you're trying to do? Because I see it in chat.
Yeah, that's why I asked that question about the repeating consonants, because what is typed out here has a P
Oh,
in it.
okay.
And if the P was repeating, wouldn't the P be gone? And that's always been one of my biggest questions about doing sigils.
Well, if
Normally, you only
You see the-
remove the repeated incidences.
Okay,
One
so
of
you
you
have
reduce
drawn
it to one if
the
there's more
letter.
than one.
you have drawn the letters connected to each other.
Yes, they're kind of they're next to and interconnecting. That is one of the methods that's pretty common. There are a couple of other ways to do it as well, which I tend to like to do some of the other ways better. But the nice thing with doing it on something like this is you focus on your thing, you see what you want. You may see specific spots that kind of look like whatever it is that you are trying to see happening. I do see what kind of looks a little bit like cats sitting there in certain spots. And I can also take a picture
Hmm.
to try and get it
I
better.
was wondering about was it conjunctions that and
Mhm.
I don't think you'd want to eliminate in, but because in the little, but the, I was wondering how important, say, for instance, the H in the, and the ND are, how important would those, it seems to me those should be eliminated, but I'm not sure because this is not my area of expertise.
Well, generally, it's kind of one of those things where the consonants go through, once each time type of thing. Like I say, I tend to personally oftentimes feel a little bit more comfortable keeping all my letters in and working with them that way. Or at the very least, keeping my vowels in and stuff. But a lot of times I tend to work with full, I was a communications major, so keeping the communication very clear is important to me. So a lot of times if I feel like, keeping all the letters and working them together in ways is, oftentimes for me, feeling more communicative clearly. And so that's one of those things that's a variation that, this is the way that a lot of people do it and how it's oftentimes encouraged to do. But, having what feels right to you comes into play on that, where, if you want to include certain words, certain things. Now, I've done some sigils where I actually will translate the lettering into like Elder Futhark or into Hebrew. And so when I do that, that gives a lot more time where you're focusing on your lettering and things like that. But that's also time where you're giving it attention, which is part of charging the thing. So it's like you get your letters and doing your thing, and then you're actually taking those letters and refining them further. And so that is a very powerful way to really build the energy on it. Now, when you do a sigil like on a board like this, you kind of focus in, see which aspects you really, are wanting to focus on. And then once you do that, you just kind of, when you're ready, kind of do a blink thing. And while you're blinking, hit the thing that erases it. And so that's how you launch those when you do it that way with the doodle boards.
So when you hit the erase button, it launches it into the universe?
Yes, it's basically that's when it disappears from your site and goes elsewhere. So it's kind of one of those things of when you're ready, you just kind of do the blink and let it go.
But would that be like you put it on paper and then burn it?
Yes.
Okay.
This is a way to do that without burning up paper and utilizing up more of natural resources.
Yeah.
So,
I'm trying to figure out what the best way of dealing with not being able to see on that blackboard very easily. I was thinking if we brought up an image of something you've already done, although you might or might not be able to remember what it was.
yeah, there's some that I know, some that I only
How
vaguely
about
remember.
the one that we had on the announcement? Looked like a word that reminded me of salt, but I'm not sure why. But
Reminded you of what? Salt?
yeah, it had a big, like an S on one side, and then it looked like an A with C under it, and then looked at the end there was a arm sticking out, which reminded me of a T. So God knows what that was for, but you colored it, and you could definitely tell it was made of letters. What's the utility of coloring it?
See if I can pull that up here.
See if I can figure out how to.
If I can share from Canva.
Okay.
I should have it in my files here. Yeah, I know I have it. I've been working across multiple devices, so it makes it a little challenging.
Yeah.
All right. I think I could bring it up if people want.
Oh, yes, she's better at tech than I am. Why don't you give it a shot?
And there we go.
There it is.
Yes.
Can you talk about that?
Excellent.
This one was a very simple sigil I had done. Basically, and actually that was one that I had done with two different versions of the wording. And that one of those things where it's like, I looked at something I had done and was like, how did I get that? And I thought, and here I had changed just minor wordings between two different sigil things. But basically this one, I believe, was my monthly art sales cover my monthly bills.
Ooh.
So you have the various consonants in here, and it's kind of one of those random things where you just kind of see where it feels right to connect. And sometimes I'll have them where some of them share a line here and there, and some of them just kind of, and this one kind of reminded me of a sled. And it started to form like a sled. And so that's what, it just had that feel to it. I was like, okay, that'll work.
The rounded letters at the bottom were reminding me of wheels. So I was also seeing vehicle, but
yes, and that's kind of how it felt to me. It was like a vehicle or like a car or a sled or something of that nature, something that was kind of giving mobility to the needs and fulfillment of said needs. And it was just kind of how it's one of those things that a lot of times when you have an intention and you start placing your letters, you start to feel, okay, this feels like it goes here. And so it kind of builds itself around that.
So if we had half of the people in this meeting have cats, they would like to have their cats pooping. Each of us would put the letters together in a different way by our own intuition.
I believe there was another one that was diamondish shaped. Can you pull that up?
Let me see. Diamond shape of the. Yes, I think I can. Let me see if I can do this.
Would that be at the,
I don't know if it was in that. Let me see, share file. Poor little Chipicon. That's that's good with magic, not so good with tech. Where did the
okay, I see it.
do you see it on the website?
We'll see it on your
Oh,
screen.
yeah.
That
on
one,
your share screen there.
yes, that one there.
Okay, can you open that file?
Right, the JPEG.
Okay. It's the image in the box here on the left.
She's got multiple windows up. That's why she can't see it.
Yeah,
Um,
okay. Okay, you're on track.
Chipicon, can you see it down at the bottom of your screen? If you can see it down there, click on it.
we can't do anything to a
I
shared
don't see it
screen.
down there.
I've managed to eliminate my ability to see it.
Okay.
Can you,
Well,
Chipicon,
she
can you
hasn't-
see that at the bottom of your screen, at the very bottom where all the files are lined up?
Yeah.
Can you see it down there? If you can, just click on it.
Click on. Yeah,
You have a row of icons at the bottom.
yeah, I'm seeing them. I'm looking at.
I can't see it down there. I
No,
see
neither
a row of
can I.
icons, but I don't see it.
You may
I
have
saw
closed it.
that. That is Eve 5.jpg.
Oh,
That's
there.
what-
Yeah, I can see it, but
You can't click on a shared screen,
spotlight for
can you?
everyone. Remove
Can't click on
pinned
the share
videos.
screen, no.
No,
No,
you can
I
share a
can-
screen, but people can't interact with it.
Right.
No.
Can't see it. Okay, come on.
But I recognize
me.
that image.
Perhaps you should stop screen sharing and try to find it again.
You're seeing her screen, you got a different resolution. You're not
Right.
able to scroll down far enough.
Are you by chance using an Apple?
Yes, I am.
So if I remember right, don't you go down into the bottom where all these are? Because I see your mouse up amongst the stars there.
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
So
But I am.
if you scroll to the bottom, like if you take your mouse to the bottom of the screen where all of your apps are open down there and any of your files.
Yeah.
And while we're here, please, I don't want to ever hear again. I'm good at magic. I'm not good at tech.
Thank you.
Is
Thank you. I
magic.
needed to say that. I am learning tech. How's
There
that
you
better?
go.
I'm
And if
learning.
it helps you, Chipicon, you're just learning a new dialect of magic.
That's right.
That's right.
Okay.
Thank you for reminding me. I know better than that, but
Well, as a technomage who's struggling to learn other forms of magic, I sit here and I want to throw things at the screen when I hear people draw this science versus religion comparison between tech and magic. I'm tired of hearing that.
I'm willing to go with tech as a new form of magic, but
But you need practice.
I need more training and practice. I haven't learned the techniques yet. I haven't learned the language. Now,
Yes.
let us
true.
get back to trying to share this loveliness.
Okay.
No,
I have it where I can share it.
you think you can swear it? Go for
I
it.
can share it. All right. get back.
Key is to make it available to everybody who's watching now and will be watching later on YouTube.
Go.
There, is that the one
Whoa,
I'm thinking of?
there we
Yeah.
are.
This particular one, if you look at those letters there, and you recall the one that we had just looked at before,
Mhm. Yeah.
you may see similarity in those letters because that's actually a variation, a different technique for doing that same sigil.
Oh,
So basically, that technique, you kind of randomly place your letters. And that, so basically you're using what letters in the order that they're, that they come through, but you put them in random spots. So like you have your M in one spot, your N, wherever they go, then they get connected to later. So it's like you don't know what the picture is going to necessarily look like, but you can also do it if you have a specific picture you're wanting to make. You can think it out and place in those specific spots as well. That's a valid
That
option.
reminds me a great deal of using rosettes to create glyphs.
Yes. So using this technique, basically, it's instead of having them all on top of each other, forming almost like a letter bind rune type of thing, this one has it spread out, creating almost like the old connect the dot pictures, kind of like that, but with the magical elements to it.
This appeals to me more. I imagining running, my finger from the B to the V to the C and then down through the star. It speaks to me more than the put them all into a image that might turn out into a vehicle.
Yes, I tend to gravitate more towards the more elaborate styles myself.
now is there a significance at all to the specific colors used here? Because I see patterns in how it's done throughout the whole thing.
Well, a lot of that was purple tends to be a color that's relevant to prosperity in terms of, that affluence and abundance, and that a color noted for royalty and things like that. The green, of course, is, that also from the prosperity aspect. So those were the colors that just really seemed like they wanted to be used, and so they were.
Okay,
Okay.
they wanted to be used. That's good
But
enough for
energy-
me.
I tend to a lot of times I let my art speak to me as to what wants to be where, because I found if I try and force my art, it comes out like crap. But when I allow it to kind of create itself and kind of, I'm just the channel for it type of thing, it comes out much better. So I tend to take an approach a lot of times with the sigils as well as with my other art.
And that's fair, because I remember reading a discussion between an author and a reader, and the reader was saying, well, you said this and you meant this. And he said, well, no, I didn't. And the reader said, how would you know? You're only the author. And, any artist that said, even an engineer who created something that spoke to them and they said, what the actual? And it just seems to resonate.
Robert E. Howard and Ursula K. Le Guin had interesting things to say about where their story ideas came from.
Yes. And it's the same thing. Who's really creating what? Or are you just the artistic version of a Reiki healer? Where you channel art? You know, Reiki healers channel energy for healing. Artists channel the universal energy for art.
Mhm.
We all have our muses and our guides. We have no idea who they are sometimes or what they want us to say. All I can say is, hang on.
Mm.
I know that for me, I have some mediumship gifting. So oftentimes when I just am doing just general paintings, faces and figures show up in my work. Okay, they wanted to be there. So yes, that's common for me. Did I send you the ones that were done with script?
The script, let me look.
I have several of your images here. Let me get back to where.
I think I'm just going to mention that first one you showed us, it in the image that you sent me, you could see that the letters were kind of carved into it, and the colors were, it was a lot more textural.
Well, that's why I commented it looked like a very complex monogram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
look
this
at that one.
This
This
one
looks
here,
like Picasso.
That's got script all over it,
Yeah.
and a
Yes.
face, as you mentioned.
this one basically I did my intention in that fully written out. So the whole thing is scripted into it there. Now this time I actually had some of the tree branches and things ended up where not all of it is necessarily fully visible because it was kind of flowing into the various areas and basically using some of the script as the vehicle as to where the branches were going and such. But I often enjoy working in this type of sigil art where I'm not necessarily pulling out and eliminating vowels and stuff. I'm actually writing my intention. Literally, I literally call it weaving my intention because of the fact that oftentimes when I'm doing that kind of art, I'm actually taking and going in various directions, and I never know where it's going to look like until it's done.
Okay.
I am reminded of those, how many faces can you find in this tree? And I'm also thinking, oh, is this the future of script, that only magicians will know how to read it in the future?
That
Maybe.
would be a good thing.
Yea, 'tis a consummation devoutly to be wished.
I can see at the bottom the word have. But,
Yes, it forms the lips and the eye are up to the eye.
yeah, it's
Yep.
it seems a bit intrusive to be looking at someone else's magical art.
But there again, one of the ways that sigil art can be charged is by viewing. Now this one, I kind of had a bit, I have refined my intention statements a lot since then, because that one was, I am a well-liked artist, which is great. But the intention, my intention was, well, like meaning, that people wanted to buy my art. Well, a lot of people like my art. It was not necessarily, okay, it's being sold type of thing at the time. So I learned I had to kind of refine my intention statements a bit more because it was too vague.
Well, isn't that the key behind in making a clear intention? It's like I don't want to. They want to take it home. No, I didn't mean steal it. They want to give me money for it. Okay,
I want to be a prosperous artist.
Yes, and so that's one of those things where you may start out with a thing that you think is, okay, this is really a good, clear statement. Then you realize later on, that was way too vague. I gotta try again with a better statement.
Well, isn't it a little bit like manifesting? So you would say, I am a profitable artist, or you know what I mean?
Yes. And I'm trying to even remember the exact phrasing I used back then, because this one is probably about 10 years old at least.
Mm.
So this was one of my earlier ones.
But that is very consistent with magic across the board, that it does what you said, not what you meant.
Yep.
Just
And
like
so
tax.
you learn along the way to get a lot more detailed and precise.
Well, that's a communication degree person. Did that help, by the way, or is it the? Oh, here's a new one.
Ooh,
Similar. Is this the
Talking
scattered
about-
letters and then connecting
talk
them to
about
the system?
complex
Oh, are
monogram.
these both? You've got the kind of bind rune thing on one side and then the scattered letters.
Those are both the same intention.
So I can see an X over here. There's the P, there's the M, there's the R.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
See the L?
Yeah.
So
There's
you
the
can do
N.
something that's relatively simple, or you can go a lot more detailed, or some variation thereof.
So
Excuse
how
me,
long have you been doing this? Ooh,
Um,
tell us about this one.
Ooh.
That one has come to pass, sort of, but not necessarily the way I had hoped, but it has come to pass. That one was that I believe my statement was, I will become my mother.
Oh.
And I am a stepmom, and I am a non-biological, not basically a non-relative mother to some young adults. So it's like, it's come about, it's just not necessarily, the whole birthing thing that I had, hoped for back at the time.
Hmm.
But it still was answered and such. I've been doing these for, I'm wanting to say probably about 12 years now, maybe longer.
Yeah, I love these are again, you can, so this image you can,
That's the one
I
I
think
was trying to
everybody
show
can
you
see.
earlier.
See the how it looks.
You can see the carving.
You can see it's kind of carved in, it's dimensional.
Mm-hmm.
And underneath the circle, which I see as a full moon, I also see in orange, kind of like a thumb, because I'm a palmist and that's the way I think.
Oh, Lord, there's a hand.
Yes, it looks like a hand to me, but then again, I think in hands. So you can add another layer in of, I will be looking, having identified where the shape of the hand is, which palmistry lines I am looking on there and which because all forms of divination kind of run together
Absolutely.
in a stream that.
And this one, I can't tell you what it was for, because that one I don't remember what it was for.
I've been doing very similar sorts of abstract art without putting the intent in it, I think, for 40 years. And including texture on top of the gradations. It's interesting to me to see the similarities pop up.
Yeah, so all you have to do is add intent, and then suddenly your art will be magic.
Exactly.
And already.
Oh, and you can also do some fun stuff of just, if you've got a photo or an image already existing, you can take and kind of just do a put your intentions into something. Say, for example, if there's an image of yourself that you can always take and sketch in some letters in various places for a certain intent. And that if there's, like, say an attribute you're wanting to achieve or something like that. So you can use existing artwork to kind of, you mentioned before about the hidden pictures. You can kind of do that with this sigil lettering and just kind of put it in random spots in the thing and let it just work that way too. So
Well,
another one of those variations, it's kind of fun to work with at times.
one of the things I'm taking away from this is something I've always known, which is that anything that is magically powerful in some significant way, just about anything you dump in the hopper will become evocative. And you will see things there, you will feel things there, you will relate to it. And that's something that this is part of my grand scheme of trying to understand how all of this works and how it relates. And all of my big takeaways are finding out how it all relates. There's only magic. Tech is magic, cooking is magic, Sigil art is magic, and it all really trends towards the same place.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
So,
and you can combine them in fun ways too. Like, I've done sometimes where I've done sigils that I've intended to burn and added some herbs that were relevant to the same intent into basically folding it toward doing the folding towards me and all that, where I'm putting some herbs inside that packet so that when I send it off, it then has the added boost of the herb magic.
Mhm.
Once you've learned the symbolism of herbs or even just the utility, what does this herb do medicinally, or it adds another layer. It's all connected. I'm wondering if there's anybody here who tuned in specifically because they wanted to learn more about Sigil Magick, and if you have any questions.
That was my reasoning for being here, but I don't have any specific questions.
Oh, well, okay, but
just see
but
your
on the other
Bible-
hand, now that you've tied it into what you already know, you can take it from there and do it your way.
Well, let's see what let's see your fiber magic again, because I blinked.
Ah,
I'm about
okay.
2/3 of a hat done.
Aha.
Okay.
Hats are magic.
It's just occurring to me that sigil magic could be done in embroidery.
It easily could.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I can just see embroidery, counted cross stitch, needlepoint, the 10,000 ways of fabric.
I do like the concept of when you say, and this is how I send it. I think that in almost any kind of magic, you need that trigger where you pull a trigger and send it out into the world. If you don't pull it, like the unfortunately newbie witches who dance in circles raise a great deal of power and then not send it anywhere, and you have this pool of stagnating power sitting there. You have to send it. And so you have to figure out what your method of triggering it is, so what your method of sending it off is.
Well, I'm going to point out, I know that Jen's riding shotgun tonight, but Andrea, Tina and I came because we wanted to ask about the Sigil Magick closing a mirror portal. And I don't think that question's been answered yet.
Well, it has been discussed, but maybe specifics about it, not yet.
Okay. Well, I will take that and leave that on the table where it lies.
I
Okay.
was just curious because I'd been reading a book and um, there was just a brief mention of if you have a mirror in your bedroom that it shouldn't be facing your bed because it can
Yeah.
act as a portal. Well, I'm living in my daughter's house right now while my house is selling, and right beside me is a mirror that faces my bed. And I was like, "Ooh," because I am more of a crystal kind of person, and I have gone and like had crystal healing and Reiki done. And not only do I have several crystals that act as portals, but I've been told that while I'm undergoing these things, that I act as a portal. So when I read that, I was like, I need to know what to do to stop that because
Right. So you look at
I
yourself
need
in
to
the mirror
it,
and
you
suddenly
know.
you're a portal.
Yeah.
Well, at the very simplest, you could do what put a cloth over it, or take a lipstick and put the circle slash that says no.
Yeah, because see that's what got me about the book. It's like, okay, you touched on that, but you didn't go into how to prevent it. And so I had asked somebody or one of the groups on Facebook about it, and they were like, well, put a sigil on there, invisible sigil, and
Okay.
that should do it. But I wanted to be sure I was creating the correct sigil or make sure I was taking the right steps doing it. So
Oh, it begin with forming the intent, wouldn't it?
Would definitely want to put whatever symbol you use or sigil design you use. I would definitely put a circle, do it as a seal where there's the circle part to it.
okay.
To confine things the way you want. What I would probably say as far as sigils, of course, there are some that, that would just use, the pentacle or something like that. But, but that can be one of those things where it's like, okay, it might work this way or that way, depending on how things are taken and all that. You could be invoking something when you don't want to, or sending something out you don't want to. So sometimes,
Right.
Something more like like inscribing your intent into a sigiled shape. And then one way you could do it would be like the window decal type of window decal paper.
Yeah, those window clings. Yeah.
Those are ideal for that kind of thing if it's, something that you don't own and so you can't necessarily do something to. Putting it on a cling would give you the
Okay.
ability to do that, to do a sigil, that basically your intent that nothing may enter.
Yeah.
Andrea asked, drawing a lock. Would drawing a lock be appropriate? Or?
Yes.
Yeah, I could probably incorporate that into one.
And some sigil art, I've known of some who've taken and actually done, the 24 letters of the alphabet as kind of like if you know how the Zap Dingbats thing, there are all those different things.
Yeah.
You can take and, do iconography type of thing for each letter and come up with something. The other thing that comes to my mind is kind of a thing with the with an eye and kind of closing the eyes type of thing on the mirror.
Okay.
I would have said a simple closed door.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to have to go, and I didn't want to leave without saying goodbye.
Thank you
as
for
far as
joining.
sealing a mirror, I think I would go with the Billy Connolly option, but that's just me.
What's
I would write "fuck off" in reverse.
I love him. I absolutely love him.
Guess
Yeah,
what?
Arnie,
So
I
much
think
of
you
it is
nailed
intent.
that.
Thank you for coming, Arnett.
Well, thank you for having me.
Definitely. I want you to come back as a speaker at some point. So,
Oh, I will see then what I can prepare as far as a subject.
Let's go with whatever excites you or pisses you off at the moment. What do you wish people would really know?
I will give it some thought and let you know.
Thank you. Anyway, but I want to, before we lose you, because we are getting close to the end, just because it is a thing that I adore, can you tell us a little bit about your fabriomancy?
Basically it's the concept of fabrics can come in all different textures for one thing, and different colors, and they have different, you can use two different colors for your most simplest ones. You say a black and a white one, white is yes, black is no, or if you prefer it the other way, that's fine too, because it's what works for you, type of thing. But you take two of them and you can put them into a bag, or you can just cast them onto the floor, whichever way you're feeling you're needing to do it at the time. And once you put them in the bag, whichever one you pull out, there's your answer.
You could do it just by texture. A blind person could do that.
Yes, and that is another part that I do have, where it's like a smooth fabric and a rough fabric. You put them in a bag, and okay, is this situation going to go smoothly, or is there going to be some roughness to it? And whatever you touch first, there's your answer. But there's also other elements to it that are a little bit more elaborate. Have you ever seen faces in your laundry?
No, tell us more.
I can't see my laundry, but
I
yeah.
ended up developing this because
I see it in everything.
I have faces show up in the weirdest spots.
Okay,
And so
TMI.
because of that, it's like, I started seeing, I had seen there was a face in my laundry the one day, and I took a picture of it and posted it to Facebook, and, different people had different comments about it and stuff, but a lot of people could see it. It wasn't just me seeing it. And so it's like, I began to look as, I wonder about, and I looked it up, and I couldn't find hardly anything on fabriomancy. So I figured surely it was out there, because, the name came to mind, and it's like, surely it's there, but very little of it, if anything, out there. But it is something, and there are, I believe, some, ancient peoples who've used variations of this, like casting lots and things like that. So it's not totally random and new, but it's not something that's very well thought of or anything like that, or like there's a specific set systems that I could find. So I began to develop it into a bit of a system, and part of it is like, if you have a cloth and you cast that cloth, you see what develops in the patternings, and that kind of like tea leaf reading. And that, so you may see faces, you may see other images that appear in the way that the cloth may fall, and some of it, if you're using more than one cloth, and that, which is even more complex, but also may give you more detail, seeing how they interact with each other and how the pattern overall formulates.
See, I see stuff all the time in things, not just cloth, but tile, anything that I look at. I'll see pictures online that people have posted of different things. I'm like, oh, do you see the face here on the tree? Do you see the one here?
Well, this is all about like everyday oracles.
Yep.
Oracles, I made the analogy, if you could throw a set of wrenches on the ground, you could probably make an oracle out of that.
Absolutely.
And I think this ability to see images everywhere is part of that being evocative. If you become sensitive to all of what is going on, then you'll start to see something in everything, which is probably a good step along your progress.
And it's funny you mentioned everyday oracle things, because I actually had started doing a thing of street signs, and I need to get back to it and finish it off, making a everyday oracle deck of basically street signs and, you know, the things you come across randomly.
Okay, well, we are now out of our hour, and so we have to thank you. Before we go, is there anything you want to tell us about what you're up to? Like, when will your book be coming out? And your workshop, I've just put up the link again. Jamie Angel's workshop, signing up is free, and in the chat. You want to save the chat, there's 3 dots at the bottom.
Yep.
I can be taught.
Going to do that one.
But what do you have anything else that so people can find you again? Don't get lost forever.
My I have a website. Let me see if I can pull that up. I think I did send the website in the
Yeah, for the workshop, you put the beginning and I put it again. I've got your Facebook profile for Jamie Angel. But so we don't want to lose you.
yeah.
This is fascinating. That we
I
told
thought
what
I
you
sent
told
you the
us about.
Canva one as my Canva webpage as well. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick.
You know, this show would be so much enhanced if I could edit it afterwards, take out the the waiting bits.
Wouldn't this be fun as a hands-on at a conference?
Yes, it would. But we do have humans, as I keep telling people, well, humans are psychic. Magic is real. Let's just do it.
That's right.
And,
I hate to mention it, but Chipicon, there is a trim feature that Zoom allows you to do that with.
oh, really? Where do I find that? Go to Zoom and find out. Thank you. Well, I will look that up, and we won't talk about it right here now.
Trim?
Trim.
Trim. I've written myself a note.
Okay, there's my website. I'm in the process of I just, like I say, I just released the course, the Sigil course.
Okay.
So I'm looking forward to any feedback on it as to how I could improve it or what have you. I'm hoping to get my book completed within the next 2 months. It will be an Amazon upload, so that should be pretty quick once I get it fully completed.
Nice.
So we'll keep you up to date on that. I also am looking at doing a Kickstarter for my Fabriomancy to actually set it up as a kit for people who might be interested in that.
Ah, okay. Well, thanks everybody for coming, and thank you for coming and sharing us about sigils, because I think Sigil Magick it's something it can be really useful, and you know
And
yeah.
it's a form
Thank
of magic
you.
that we have lately learned a lot about, and you're a major contributor to that. So thank you very much.